It's called the Jesus in Japan theory, or more formally known as the Shingo legend. Kirishito no Haka Densetsu in Japanese, you would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to explain what it is?
Do you have the story or
I have the story, right?
okay, yeah.
So, in a nutshell, it's a fringe. Well, we think it's fringe, but there are people in Japan that do not think it's fringe, and we'll go into why they're on crack. But it's a fringe historical and religious theory claiming that Jesus did not die on the cross in Judea, but instead escaped crucifixion and lived out his life in Japan, specifically in the small village of Shingo in Aomori Prefecture, in way up in northern Honshu. All right, crackpot nutcases.
And I visited that grave.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So, where do we want to start? Because it's crazy. Right.
So,
It was started. Tell us who started it.
so the man who started it, his name is Takeuchi.
Takeuchi.
And apparently, when I went to go visit the grave, it's out in the middle, like it's a very small town in
Yep.
Aomori, very very
Yep. Very
small.
small.
There's no one there. Like, sorry, at the visiting site, the graveyard or the tombstone, there's no one there. It's literally
It's just a. It's
it's
just a
just
thing.
it's just there. And there's like a little tiny museum and they show like
Do they? Do you have to pay money to go into that museum?
yeah, we paid because I was like, I need to know what happens.
How much?
It was like 300 or 500 yen per person.
That's insane.
And it was the smallest museum ever.
Like two
Small.
rooms.
Not it was like probably 500 square meters.
Mm.
Very tiny. And it showed documents of Takeuchi, like the guy that who
We'll get
wrote
into
and
those in a
saw
minute.
that.
Yeah.
And then like the whole story was that yeah, Jesus died in Japan and there's a graveyard
Okay.
there.
Okay. Listen to this. According to the legend, that this Takeuchi guy magically found documents to.
I thought he wrote it.
Well, we'll get to there.
Oh, okay.
According to the legend, Jesus had a younger brother that lived in the Middle East. And by magic, his younger brother's name was Isukiri. And he took Jesus' place on the cross. Forget the fact that this Japanese dude would stick out like a sore thumb in the Middle East. But apparently, they couldn't tell them apart when they stuck him up on the cross.
Wait, Iskiri isn't Japanese.
Isukiri,
It's a Japanese name, but he wasn't Japanese.
whatever. Jesus studied theology in Japan during his lost years.
Yes.
So between the time he was 12 to 30, he lived in Japan. Okay? This is what these guys believe. And he brought with him a lock of Mary's hair and one of his brother's ears, which are also allegedly buried alongside him in Shingo, Aomori, Japan. Because you wouldn't have anything not buried with him. That would just be too inconvenient. Right? So after his brother Isukiri was crucified for him, Jesus walked all the way back to Japan and he married a local Japanese woman named Miyuko and fathered 3 daughters and lived to be 106 years old.
Amen.
So forget him being able to walk on water. Jesus walked all the way from the Middle East to Japan to marry this lady and live till he was 106 and be a rice farmer.
Fantastic.
Okay, based on the Takeuchi documents, purportedly ancient scrolls, allegedly discovered in the 1930s by a Shinto priest named Sanjiro Sawaguchi, or in Japanese, Sawaguchi Sanjiro. The documents, amazingly enough, were never verified, were written in a form of katakana syntax that's considered anachronistic. Do you know what that means?
No.
The timelines of the katakana it was written in and the timelines of when Jesus supposedly lived in Japan don't match at all.
Oh.
Okay?
Fantastic.
And it was likely, however, not verified, that it was fabricated in the 20th century. Go figure.
This is the best conspiracy theory I've ever heard because you can really debunk it immediately. But I thought it was so funny. We need to talk
Well, it
about
is
it.
funny, and I've talked to your husband, who's 100% Japanese, about and China and Korea and Japan all do the same thing. They make themselves the center of everything that's important, right? So if there's a world, I'm sure if you dug deep enough, some Chinese guy or some Japanese guy or some Korean guy is going to claim that Islam or Judaism or Buddhism, some is the center started in their country. It's just a thing, and YouTube is full of it,
Yes.
right?
Dad,
The
YouTube
first,
is full of facts. Don't you
yeah,
know?
right. Okay, tell us about since you've been there. Tell us about Jesus's hometown. Tell us about the town. Just
It's full of old people.
Japan is full of old people.
But this one is specifically full of old people.
They don't
And
live
what
forever.
supports this theory, apparently, what supports this theory of Jesus dying or living in Shingomura is that some locals have unusual facial features. Example, bluish gray eyes.
What? You mean it couldn't be genetics?
No, it's Jesus.
Well, you know what's really weird? I lived in the Middle East and I didn't see too many people with blue eyes. They mostly have brown and black eyes, but that's just me.
There were one-offs here and there.
Not too many, unless
Yeah.
they're wearing the colored contacts. But go ahead.
Another
It's
thing
like
that supports...
it's like they made it to make it's like they made it to match that Jesus was white when he wasn't white.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Well, Jesus was, I mean, but that's what they would have thought, right? Because that's what the Christians kind of would have brought over there.
And then another thing is...
Like if you go into a Mormon church, the pictures of Jesus, he all looks like a North American white dude.
He does, yeah. He really does.
Whatever.
And then another fun thing is the locals, I don't know if they still do it, but the locals hold annual ceremonies to honor Jesus for living and dying in Shingo town.
Yeah. Did the museum contain relics and interpretations? What did it contain, the museum?
Just photos of the documents. So it was like photocopies of the documents.
Photos of the documents?
And then...
That's funny.
And then they would like outline the timeline. And that's really about it.
So...
And then that was it. And then, so what the site looks like is it's out in the middle of the forest. So you just go off a street and you kind of climb up like maybe 30 steps of stairs.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you see two, I might insert a picture in the video, but there's two, like...
stones or something?
So there's crosses. There's two crosses, and then there's like...
Which is weird because crosses weren't used in Christianity till hundreds of years after Jesus' death. But go ahead.
And then there's like dirt that's piled, so you can clearly tell there's like their burial grounds. And then there's a plaque from... Oh crap! What's the country called? Israel. That says this is good. This is a...
Well, Israel doesn't care because they don't believe in Jesus in the first place.
Fine
Mostly.
with us.
Crazy.
It was like a sign of like mutual cultural respect.
Yeah, whatever.
So there's like a plaque written in
Israel
Hebrew.
just did that to make everybody happy.
Probably. And then it's just there beside the two graves. And then so why are there two graves? You must be asking.
One is Jesus and one is...
One is for Jesus, because Jesus' body's there. And one is for Iskiri, his brother that died on the cross for him.
What, they transported his dead, rotting body for years across...
No.
From the Middle East?
It was just like symbolism.
Oh,
so
they just buried nothing?
They just buried nothing.
So there's a word for this called folk syncretism.
Wait, and then, sorry, one more thing.
What?
According to the documents, Jesus' disciples are also buried somewhere in that mountain.
They're all in
there.
Japan?
Yes.
Amazing. Nobody knew this. The story reflects Japan's tendency, and I would add in Korea and China, but Japan in particular.
We're talking about Japan today.
The story reflects Japan's tendency towards syncretic myth making, where foreign religious and historical figures are woven into local folklore.
Mm-hmm.
This is very Japanese.
I love it.
Similar examples include legends that Moses
Mm-hmm.
also visited Japan. And these things, again, Shinto folks bring this up, right, to weave into their religion.
Yes.
And they're often propagated by new religious movements or niche, esoteric nationalist ideologies,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And they want some connection with outside influence. Make Anyway.
And do you know the story of the Moses and why they think
No,
Moses
why
died?
did they think Moses went there?
Okay, so apparently in Mount Hodatsu in Ishikawa-ken, so
Uh-huh.
Ishikawa Prefecture, there are sacred stones with carvings on there, and there's something that resembles the Ten Commandments, and so it's just there. And
Resembles?
they're like, oh, this must be something Moses carried all the way to Japan.
Mm.
And then there are people that claim that Japanese rituals involving the purification of water and shrine practices mirror ancient Hebrew customs.
Mm.
The theory gained attraction, those searching for the lost connections between ancient Israel and the East.
Mm.
So they're saying there's mysterious spiritual crossover and ancient traditions between the two.
That's interesting. See, I
Yeah.
don't know. Again, my experience, I don't know why Japan or Japanese folks have to do this. There's so much beauty in Japan without having to try to borrow and inject other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it kind of bothers me. I mean, look, there's no supporting evidence in Christian or Roman sources that Jesus wasn't crucified, right? No Jewish, Roman, or early Christian texts mention Jesus going to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
The Takeuchi documents contain modern Japanese constructions and terms that didn't exist during the purported period,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's very anachronistic. So obviously it doesn't work. And the village of Shingo was not established until centuries after Jesus' purported life
Did you
or
know
death.
Mutsu's grandma is from the Shingo town?
She crazy too?
Nope. She's actually very sane. She says she doesn't believe in it.
She says it's loony.
Yeah, but she's like, hey, if you want to go visit, go ahead. But it's a waste of your time.
Well, you spent $5 to go look at it, right?
But it's a cute small town
Right. So
village.
and so
Village.
just like what I just said here, so there's an underlying appeal, right? And it seems Japanese people want to do this often. There's this underlying appeal to reframe Japan as not isolated from Western religious narratives,
Mm-hmm.
and it's secretly connected to all these sacred events. And I think that Japan was isolated. Tokugawa isolated Japan for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And so there's this connection to want to not have that blank disconnect from the rest of the world. And so, a lot of people that purport to believe or move these narratives forward are trying to connect Japan to that period of disconnectivity, or they're trying to get views on YouTube to make money. I would go with the latter for the most part, right? So,
But these documents are old, so it's not for YouTube. It was probably for some
well,
other
yeah.
fame.
Well, look, look, if what happened. So here's the crazy part. They're trying. These folks are trying to link Jesus to Japan, but if what they say happened, and Jesus actually wasn't crucified and did live in Japan, then the crucifixion and resurrection are completely null and void, and Christianity doesn't mean anything anyway. So why would you want to be connected to it?
Because Iskiri probably resurrected.
Whatever. So apparently Jesus didn't die for our sins. He died of old age in Japan
107
on a
years
rice
old.
farm with 3 kids and a wife named Miyuko.
Beautiful.
Whatever.
We have 2 more stories.
So there's no resurrection. It was simply a relocation.
Yeah. Yeah.
What stories?
Well, there's the Lost Tribe story that Japan also likes to talk about.
Well, some Looney Tunes out there try to make a connection between Jewish DNA and what's that theory called? Anyway, it's a crackpot theory as well,
Yeah.
where they say that Japan has a whole bunch of Jewish DNA the same as Israel. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's crackpot craziness.
I mean, if there was, then if you do the DNA testing, there'll be some kind of evidence saying that there is a
Yeah.
connection, and there isn't. So I don't know where that even started, but it could have started from. So there were 10 lost tribes, right?
Yes.
There's another conspiracy
Well,
theory.
was there 10 or 12? I can't remember. It's been a while.
Okay, it's I'm just gonna say it's 10. I don't know, but there were lost tribes, and then at least one of them, ended up in
Well, I
Japan.
think it's 12 actually, but anyway.
On my notes, this is 10.
Oh, it is 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's 10 tribes of
Yep.
Israel, right?
Yep.
But one of them migrated to Japan after the Assyrian
Mm-hmm.
exile. That happened in 722 BCE.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so why do people think this is,
Some people.
why do some people believe in this conspiracy theory? Is that there are similar words between the Japanese and Hebrew.
Yeah.
For an example,
Right.
in Japanese, there's a word Yamato, and then in Hebrew there's, I hope I'm saying this, yam, which means sea. For an example, another one would be amaterasu, or in Hebrew it's amateras,
Which means?
which means I will be seen.
Tss.
Yeah. So there's
Except-
like,
Yeah. Keep
or
going.
there's also a religious parallel. So we have in Japan, you have the Torii Gate,
Yes.
right? And then in the Jewish religion, there's a tabernacle entrance.
Yep.
There's an ancient Japanese myth similar to the Old Testaments.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the Ark of the Covenant and other things. Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to the rituals, the Shinto rituals and the Judaic rituals of like purity and offering is similar. And the Shinto's reference for the sun goddess may link to the ancient monotheistic sun worship as well.
Monotheistic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's just so much that the Japanese really try to connect with.
Religions use
Yes.
special garments. They use purification processes with water. They use different rituals. In different languages, there's words that sound the same. There's absolutely no proof whatsoever that Judaism and Japan. In fact, some pseudo historians claim genetic markers in Japanese people match those of Middle Eastern populations, but geneticists show no credible link.
And then, talking about genetics, apparently this group formed the roots of the Japanese imperial bloodline.
Yeah, that's right. So this is an extreme version of the claim that the Japanese imperial family descends from King David of Israel.
Yes.
This elevates Japan's emperor from simple descendant of Amaterasu to divinely appointed Hebrew king. So now, the Japanese emperor isn't just, king of Japan. He's like king of the whole Jewish nation.
He's the king of the king.
Huh?
He's the king of the
It's absurd, right? It's absurd. So why do these theories persist? Well, I already talked about the tendency of Japanese. And look, I'm not making fun of Japan. I'm making fun of these pseudo-scientist people in Japan that have these ideas. Everybody knows that I love Japan, and that's not the issue. And this is certainly not widely believed among Japanese people.
No. It's just fun.
But it's fun to talk about because there are people that believe it.
Not many.
Some we might know even. Okay.
Not me.
All right. So why these theories persist? So there's a few things. There's maybe three main reasons. National pride and identity. So, in the Meiji period, in the early 20th century, Japan was trying to modernize without westernizing spiritually. And some embraced the theory as proof Japan was already connected to the biblical narrative, but these were on Japan's terms, not Western nation terms.
Right.
Okay. Mystery of the Lost 10 Tribes. Because the Bible doesn't track the fate of all the tribes, it's easier to create a connection without having the need for proof. Okay? Again, trying to make that connection on its own terms. And then finally in Japan is full of fringe cults and New Age movements. Lots.
Doesn't Japan have like
Well,
thousands of
Korea
cults?
too.
Korea too.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. There's
But
lots.
sorry, we're just talking about Japan, so I was just
Yeah. No, yeah. We could go. Right. You can find this information about. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Lots of places. Right. And so, um, when you have, uh, so a lot of these ideas get hold in YouTube and TikTok. And so while there in the old days, there wouldn't in the old days, meaning like 10, 15 years ago, there wouldn't have been an audience. If you look at some of these videos on YouTube, they have like 300,000 views,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, they do.
And so these fringe ideas aren't losing traction, they're gaining traction, just like flat earth, right?
Yeah.
These lunatics with flat earth and stuff. Or there's lots of other conspiracy theories, but so it gains traction. And then you have people that create YouTube channels to grab hold of the popularity. And what people don't understand is YouTube channels have to be more and more crazy to get the clicks and the likes and the views in order to make money for the people making the content, right? This is all over. And so people don't understand that, one of the ones that some people we know watch is they interview people about this stuff, and apparently the people had such secret high up government jobs that they have to change their voice and blur their face on YouTube. Well, anybody can do that, but it's for views, right? And so if you get 2 or 300,000 views on a YouTube channel every week, you're making money, right? And so they just have to keep creating content, getting the views. And that's what a lot of people don't understand with these fringe movements that gain more and more traction.
I'm sure people understand. I just don't think they think that far into it because it's just entertaining.
Well, maybe it is entertaining, but there are people that believe it.
Yeah, but I think most people understand.
I hope
that
so.
It's for that.
I mean, there's a lot of that stuff on. I mean, the U.S. has a lot of stuff too, right? But it's the content. It's the content piece.
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah, and this is weird.
Yeah.
This is fun content.
Yeah, it is fun content. Speaking of weird, did you know there's a filter that OnlyFans models use to make it look like they have Down syndrome now?
What?
Yeah, Google it. It's a thing, apparently.
I want to Google it.
And so what I'm saying is the content has to get more and more weird to get more and more views to separate themselves from the weird content that's already out there. And I think that some of this weird conspiracy crap, this Toshidensetsu stuff that's out on Japanese YouTube, it fits that bill. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, so you know what? I haven't been to Aomori before. So when I go to Aomori, guess where I'm going to go?
The graveyard.
I'm going to go to Jesus's house.
House?
Well, whatever.
Yeah, you can go pay your respects to him and his brother Iskiri.
Iskiri. How'd they come up with that name?
I don't know. It sounds very Japanese.
What were his kids' name? Frank?
Didn't say.
Pete?
Never said.
Oh, his kids didn't have names.
Yeah.
Weird.
We don't know.
Probably couldn't come up with names quick enough.
Maybe it did say, and I just don't remember because it wasn't.
Well, you didn't get it from the photocopied fake documents?
No, did it say? I can't remember
you
either.
Paid 500 yen and you can't.
It was such a joke.
Is there at least good restaurants nearby that serve perhaps
some people might hate this?
Kosher pork or something?
No, but some people might not like this. But there's a culture of eating horse meat, right?
I love it.
And there's a restaurant close to it, not in Shingo village, but like half-hour drive from there. Very good horse meat.
Well, I know they
people
serve
are gonna
it
hate me for that.
I know they serve it in Kyushu, but also in Aomori they serve horse meat.
Yes, yeah,
It's a
they're
thing.
very popular for that, and so that's the only thing I can think of. But I know that like
I don't think
it's not really a thing in the Western culture to eat horse, or maybe even in like the Central Asia. I'm not sure.
Well,
but
most of Japan doesn't either. You have to go to special places to get it. Not every place serves it, right?
yeah, but people.
If you say it,
If you say it,
like
a
whale
lot of
meat and horse meat, they're not going to go, ooh, gross, right?
they'll just be like, oh yeah, yeah. But If you say it to
Here, if you
Westerners,
say here, I've eaten whale and horse, people go, yeah, they cringe.
they're like, oh, that's horrible. But
That's
it's just,
gross. You're so mean.
it's just different culture. So
Yeah.
anyway, but if you are adventurous with food, yeah, horse meat, there you can eat it raw. Yeah,
Sashimi. Eat
and it was
sashimi.
so cheap,
It's cheap and good.
so
Actually.
cheap, so cheap.
Sad to say.
Yeah,
Now, lots of hate comments coming.
I know. Please don't hate me.
It's
Different
it's
culture. It's culture.
Right.
And I just have What?
And if you're adventurous, you try it once, and then if you
Yeah.
don't want to, you don't try it again.
Exactly.
And quite frankly, the popularity of whale and horse in Japan is falling. It's not a thing with
because
young
it's
people.
becoming like the Western ideology,
Yeah.
like cultural ideology.
If it's any consolation to people that really have a problem with that, the popularity is definitely falling.
Yeah, it's becoming
Taboo.
harder
Yeah.
to find
find.
that. Yeah. So it's mainly like beef and pork and like the main food that you find here in Western countries.
That's right.
And I have one more very fun
What?
topic for you,
Uh-oh.
which is Adam and Eve.
Did they live in Japan too?
So apparently
They lived in
There's-
Japan?
remnants of Adam and Eve in Japan.
When will people realize Adam and Eve is a myth? And when I say myth, I don't mean fake. What I mean is it's a story to teach about the human condition. There likely wasn't a real Adam and Eve,
Well,
in my opinion. But I could
Japan
be
in
wrong.
Japan they're there. It's near the Mount Kurai in Gifuken. Or we don't know, or Hyogo-ken. So Hyogo Prefecture or
Or maybe there
Gifu
was an Adam
Prefecture.
and Eve, and they did live in Japan. I don't know.
Maybe they did.
Look, I don't know. I'm just saying my opinion. I probably get a lot of hate for that too, but interesting. So they lived in Japan. Adam and Eve lived in Japan.
Not
Were they
lived, but
Japanese?
it didn't go that far.
What race were Adam and Eve?
It didn't go that far. It just says that Japan just revolves around. I don't know.
Well,
Japan was
okay,
the,
so this is interesting because when I was a missionary for my church, I served some time in Chicago.
Mhm.
And the majority of the homes, and I served in the quote unquote black part of town. I don't know if that's a thing, but the predominantly black neighborhoods.
Okay.
That's where I lived. And I would go into some of these houses to teach people. And every single picture of Jesus in the homes, Jesus was black,
Mhm.
with black facial features, black skin, right? When I served in Japan, I did go into homes where there was pictures of Jesus and he was definitely Japanese.
Yeah. You
Right?
see Asian Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go to America and they've lightened up Jesus' skin, give him a smaller nose, right? And then you go to the Middle East and you can see pictures of Jesus, and he's definitely Middle Eastern,
Mhm.
right? So and Korea, and also I've seen Korean pictures of the Koreans, some Korean people's interpretation of Jesus, and he's definitely got Korean features,
Mhm.
right? So depending on where you go in the world, Adam and Eve were either Japanese, Korean, Chinese. It's like
Yeah.
Jesus. I find that very interesting. Where
Because as a person who,
well, we're ethnocentric, right?
yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
is,
yeah.
to a certain degree.
Unconsciously, that's just how it works. Yeah. But yeah, Earth's first civilization started in Japan thanks to Adam and Eve.
Hmm.
That started in Japan. And according to very how do I say it? Like neo Shinto people, like very out there people, Japan is not the land of the rising sun, but it is the land of the first sun.
Good grief.
Right? Yeah. Anybody following?
All right, I'm just saying, possible.
We never know. We don't have the answer.
It is possible
but I
because
don't know.
there is evidence that civilization began elsewhere, but it is possible. It was a long time ago. It is
I don't
possible.
know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. Some other supporting factors of why Adam and Eve is somewhere in Japan. Apparently, there are remnants of Adam and Eve that are encoded in early Shinto myths. Right? I've never heard of it, but apparently there are
Apparently there are.
encoded. And there
Well-
are sacred stones, shrines, and geographic power spots that correspond. So Japan has a
Japan
culture,
does have a culture of power spots.
power spots. So if you ever visited Japan and you hear people or see signs that says power spots, do you want to explain what that means?
I don't really even know.
So it's called a power spot because one, either the view is very beautiful, so then the view gives you power,
Mhm.
like
From nature?
spiritually,
Mhm.
yeah, from nature, or again, it might be a very sacred location, so it's called a power spot.
If you can
Right.
treat it with respect, and not be a typical knucklehead tourist, Issei Jingu is a power spot,
Yes,
right?
please respect that
Right.
place,
So
please.
what frustrates me is whether it's your culture or not, I see Americans and Canadians for that, Westerners, Chinese, whatever. They go to Japan and they treat these important sacred places like their personal playground. It drives me up the freaking wall.
I have seen
Japanese police should be hitting them on the head with big sticks and kicking them out of the country, but they don't.
I have seen videos of specifically Kyoto of tourists sitting on the steps that leads you to the shrine, and lots of locals are very upset because that is a very sacred path for the gods and for the people that like to pray to the
Yeah,
kami-sama over there. So lots of locals are upset. Lots of locals are moving out of Kyoto because it's getting out of hand.
it's crazy.
There's garbage
Yeah.
everywhere, and trains are getting delayed all the time now, apparently,
Yeah.
and it's just so crowded. A lot of the locals are saying Kyoto is not what it used to
Well,
be.
no, Japan isn't, and it's sad that. I mean, it's great. Well, I don't even know if it's that great from an economic point of view, but certainly people are making money and they have livelihoods. But they're, it's a small percentage of the visiting population that creates a really bad situation for everybody.
Yeah, there's a bad apple everywhere,
Yeah, and
everywhere.
yeah,
But it just
yeah,
one bad apple,
Brexit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's just what's
I,
happening.
I love Japan and we'll go there, but I stay away. I now last time we went, we stayed away from where all the tourists are, and it was way better. And I think that's what we'll do going forward. Just stay away from where all the tourists are. It's way better. Stay away from them. Because if I see a tourist disrespecting Japan, I'm going to say something, and that's the last thing I need to do is get in a fight. Number one, I'll probably lose. Actually, even if I lost, I could probably sweet talk the Japanese cops pretty good and blame everything on the foreigner that doesn't speak Japanese, so it would be okay.
Oh my god. My goodness.
It's true, right?
Yeah, if you speak fluent Japanese, they'll like you.
Although I've been speaking Japanese at work, and I noticed, man, it's really gone downhill. But I mean, the only way to really keep it up is to live there.
Yeah. But yeah.
Anyway, we got off
Oh.
topic. So, if you want to see Jesus's grave,
And it-
Aomori,
and if
Shingo,
and Moses, if you
and
wanna,
Moses somewhere in there,
that's in Ishikawa Prefecture,
and Adam and Eve may or may not be
in the Gifu Prefecture
in
or
Gifu.
Hyogo Prefecture. So
Gifu or
they'll
Hyogo.
probably have two locations
We'll just go to
for
both.
you go to visit.
You know what? There's probably not a lot of tourists in Shingo.
I'm sorry, you don't have to go.
Yeah,
There's
don't
really
go.
nothing.
But here's the thing about Aomori. There's not a lot of tourists in Aomori yet. Yet, not as many as Tokyo. No way.
No, but
And there's
it's
good food up there, and so if you don't mind being away from tourists but still want to be immersed culturally, maybe not in all the tourist traps, but culturally with the food and beautiful views, there are way better places to go than Tokyo.
and if you like apples,
Yeah.
Aomori is famous for apples.
Do you remember? Oh, you weren't with us. Were you with us when we went with the strawberries in Okayama?
No, but I went strawberry picking when I was in high
Holy
school.
crap.
Aren't they so good?
Strawberries in we went on this day tour to this strawberry farm in Okayama. That was the purpose of the
Yes.
tour. It's a whole day. And you go to a strawberry farm. And they had greenhouses full of these strawberries that had been crossbred.
I think you already talked about this.
Oh, well, I don't care.
Oh.
It was so good. It was like some of them you bite into and it tastes like you're biting into a bowl of sugar.
Yeah.
Because they did the crossbreeding so good. Oh man, that's so good. So long story, and there was no tourists. It was all Japanese people.
And it's so cheap.
It's so cheap. So long story short, there are a lot of things to do other than the stuff.
Yeah. If you want recommendations, leave us a comment and we'll give you lots of recommendations where not a lot of tourists go. Maybe we can do like a whole episode where we just talk
Yeah,
about.
then we'd wreck it for all those.
Even if you tell people, hey, you should avoid tourist places, a lot of people say,
Still
I
go.
still want to, I still
Well,
want that.
it's safe, right? It's safe.
It's
I gotta see.
safe.
People ask, where did you go and see? Oh, and then you say, oh, I went to Skytree. Oh, I went to Skytree, and then you have that connection. But if you say, oh, I went and got these strawberries in Okayama, people go, huh?
Yeah.
Even though
Where is that?
they will be, I promise you, the best strawberries you've ever eaten in your entire life. But people go, huh? Right?
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, that was kind of it. So Japan is the beginning of everything, according to our podcast today. So yeah, so
Although they still can't play hockey.
that has nothing to do with the topic.
Watching a hockey game.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. If there's any conspiracy theories that you've heard, if you have any fun stories, or if you just want an episode where we recommend you places to go, please let us know. We'd love to do that.